Hey everyone, some exciting news just dropped. A new stimulus payment is coming.
Yeah.
And it's going to be here sooner than you think.
Yeah. We're talking January 25th.
That's right, January 25th. And this one is specifically for those of you receiving Social Security benefits or disability benefits.
Exactly.
Now, before we jump into all the nitty-gritty details, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future updates just like this one.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. What makes this stimulus payment so unique?
Well, what's interesting is it's really laser focused on a specific group of people. You know, those folks who have been hit hardest by this recent rise in inflation, people on fixed incomes.
Right. It's not like those broad stimulus programs we've seen before.
No, not at all. This one's more like a lifeline.
Yeah, a lifeline to help weather the economic storm. So we're talking about a payment of $456. Now, that might seem like a kind of random number.
Right.
But I'm guessing it's the result of some serious economic calculations.
Oh, yeah, you guessed right. Economists really dug into the data to figure out just how much inflation has affected the cost of all those essentials. You know, things like groceries, healthcare, housing.
Things you really need.
Exactly. And for people on Social Security and disability, those rising costs can be devastating.
Sure. So this $456, that's a direct response to the financial pressure this particular group is facing.
That's exactly right. It's really trying to help them maintain their standard of living.
Okay, so it sounds like a pretty targeted approach, which is definitely different from previous stimulus payments.
Yeah, definitely. Remember, those were designed to stimulate the entire economy. This one is more about direct relief.
Makes sense. So let's talk eligibility. Who exactly qualifies for this payment?
Well, it all boils down to your status with Social Security. Are you receiving regular Social Security retirement benefits?
Okay.
Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI.
Got it.
Or Supplemental Security Income, SSI.
Okay, so those are the main categories.
Those are the big ones.
So if someone is receiving one of those benefits, they're automatically in line for this payment.
Well, not so fast. There's a little more to it. Income thresholds still play a role. Even if you're receiving those benefits, your eligibility or the amount you get could change if you're over a certain income level.
So it's all about the details. And speaking of details, have you ever been waiting for a payment or a refund? Checking your bank account every single day, hoping it's finally arrived? Tell us about it in the comments below. And hey, if you're finding this information helpful, don't forget to give this video a like. Really helps us out. Okay, back to the stimulus payment. This all sounds kind of complicated. Is the actual payment process going to be a pain?
Not at all. Thankfully, the government has streamlined this process. If you're eligible, the payment will be deposited directly into the same account where you get your regular Social Security benefit.
Oh, that's good. No extra forms or hoops to jump through?
Nope, it's all automatic.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
But what if someone's banking information has changed, since they last received a Social Security payment?
That's a great question. And it's super important to make sure the Social Security Administration has your most up-to-date info. So if you've moved, switched banks, anything like that, update your details with them as soon as possible.
You don't want that money going to the wrong place.
Exactly. You can update online or give them a call.
Got it. So everyone should mark January 25th on their calendars.
Absolutely.
But I imagine there might be some variation in when people actually see the money in their accounts, depending on their bank's processing times.
Yeah, that's right. January 25th is the official payment date, but some folks might see it a day or two earlier.
Okay.
Or maybe a little later. Just depends on their bank.
Right. So best to be patient and not freak out if it's not there right away.
Exactly. Give it a few days.
Now let's talk taxes. I know a lot of people are wondering if they'll have to pay taxes on this money.
Yeah, that's a good question. And the good news is this payment, just like the previous ones, is structured as a tax credit. So that means you won't be taxed on it as income.
Well, that's good to hear.
But there are some nuances, like how it might interact with other benefits or tax credits you might be receiving.
Right.
So if you're unsure about anything, it's always best to check with a tax professional.
Okay, good advice. Now here's something interesting. There's actually a chance to receive even more money than that $456 base amount. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. It all comes down to individual circumstances. You might be eligible for supplemental amounts. Maybe you have dependents or certain disabilities, or if you're enrolled in multiple benefit programs.
So people might be missing out if they don't explore all their options.
It's possible. It's crucial to really understand all the ins and outs of this program.
Yeah, make sure you're getting everything you're entitled to.
Exactly. You want to make sure you're exploring every single option.
So wait, even if someone missed out on those past stimulus payments, they could still be eligible for this one.
Yep, that's right. The government actually has a process for claiming those missed funds. So don't worry if you think you might have missed out before. It's definitely worth checking into.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, let's say someone is eligible for this payment. Everything checks out, but for some reason, it doesn't show up in their account when they expect it. What should they do?
First things first, don't panic. It's probably just a little delay.
Okay.
Wait a few days after that official payment date, just to be sure. Sometimes banks can be a little slow with processing these things, but if the payment still hasn't arrived after a few days, you can always contact the Social Security Administration directly.
Okay, so who do they call?
They have a dedicated line specifically for stimulus payment inquiries. So you can call that number. They can help you track down your payment and make sure everything is sorted out.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
At least there's a plan B.
Exactly.
Now, this is something I know a lot of people are worried about, how this stimulus payment might affect their eligibility for other benefits. Like, will accepting it jeopardize things like SNAP benefits or food stamps?
Yeah, I hear you. That's a valid concern. And, things like Medicare and Medicaid.
Right.
Even a housing assistance. People are worried it could mess things up.
For sure. So how does this payment actually affect those specific benefits?
Well, we'll definitely dive into all the specifics a little later on.
Okay, good.
But the main thing to remember is to be informed. Make sure you understand how all these programs interact and how this payment fits into the bigger picture. You want to make sure you have all the facts before making any decisions.
Exactly. Speaking of being informed, are there any other common misconceptions about this stimulus payment that you've come across? It seems like misinformation can spread so quickly these days.
Oh, absolutely. It's like wildfire sometimes. And there's a lot of confusion around this payment. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is that you have to apply for it.
Oh, really?
Which is totally not true.
So it's automatic.
It's automatic for those who qualify. You don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Another common one is that it's going to reduce the amount of your regular Social Security or disability benefits.
Oh, I see.
Which is also not true. This payment is completely separate. It won't affect your regular benefits at all.
Okay. So no need to worry about that. Good. So we've covered a lot of ground here. But before we move on, I'd love to hear from our listeners. Have you or someone you know ever had to deal with the whole world of government benefits? It can be pretty confusing sometimes. Share your experiences in the comments below. And hey, if you're finding this information useful, don't forget to give us a like. It really helps us out. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. I want to talk about something that I find really important about this stimulus payment, and that's its sensitivity to the unique challenges that disabled Americans face. It's not just about the money.
Right, I see what you mean. It's about recognizing those added expenses that often come with disabilities.
Exactly. Things like medical care,
Right.
specialized equipment, home modifications. Those costs can really add up.
They can really strain a budget.
Absolutely. And they're often invisible costs. They don't always get factored in to those broader economic discussions.
Yeah, that's
So it's really good to see a program that acknowledges these challenges and tries to help alleviate some of that financial burden.
It's a step in the right direction, toward recognizing the dignity and value of every individual, regardless of their physical abilities.
Absolutely. And making sure they have the resources they need to live a good life.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've talked about the specifics of this stimulus payment, but how does this all fit into the bigger picture? The current economic landscape. What are the potential implications for future support programs or adjustments to Social Security benefits down the road?
Those are the million-dollar questions. It's tough to predict the future.
Right.
But, this payment, it could be a sign of a shift toward more targeted relief efforts.
I see.
In response to specific economic challenges. It also really highlights the need for continued advocacy and support for those on fixed incomes.
Yeah. They're the ones who are most vulnerable to inflation and all those fluctuations in the cost of living.
For sure.
So it's not just about providing immediate relief.
Right.
It's about starting a bigger conversation
Absolutely.
about economic inequality and finding ways to protect the most vulnerable members of our society.
That's exactly right. Making sure everyone has the opportunity to live with dignity and financial security.
Well said. Now let's get back to some practical tips for our listeners. We've talked about what to do if the payment doesn't arrive as expected. But what about those folks who are helping manage the finances of elderly or disabled family members? What advice do you have for them?
That's a big responsibility. And it's so important for caregivers and financial representatives to be in the know about this program. They need to make sure their loved ones are getting those payments and that the funds are being managed responsibly, used in a way that really benefits the recipient. We'll be providing some helpful resources and links a little later on to help with all of that.
Excellent. Now, I know we touched upon this earlier, but let's circle back to the issue of misinformation. With any big financial news like this, there are bound to be rumors and inaccuracies flying around.
Oh yeah, it's inevitable, especially in the age of social media.
Exactly. So let's debunk some common myths. We've already talked about the misconception that you have to apply for the payment and that it will affect your regular benefits. What are some other falsehoods you've come across?
Another one I hear all the time is that this payment is a one-time thing. That there won't be any more stimulus efforts in the future.
Okay.
But we can't say for sure what the future holds, but given the current economic situation and the focus on supporting those on fixed incomes, it's definitely possible that we could see more relief measures down the line.
So it's important to stay informed.
Yes, absolutely. Don't just rely on rumors or what you see on social media.
Right.
Always go to official sources like the Social Security Administration website. That's where you'll find the most accurate and up-to-date information.
Great advice. Now, I want to shift gears for a moment and talk about something that I think often gets overlooked in these conversations. Financial literacy.
That's so important.
Understanding how to manage your finances effectively. That's crucial for everyone.
Absolutely. Especially for those who are on a fixed income or facing financial challenges.
Exactly. We've covered a lot today. And it's clear that navigating the world of government benefits and financial programs, it can be pretty complicated.
It can be.
So what are some basic tips you would recommend for improving financial literacy? For feeling more empowered to make smart decisions about money?
Well, start with the fundamentals. Create a budget, even if it's just a simple one, to track your income and expenses. And then set some realistic financial goals, whether it's paying down debt, building an emergency fund, or saving for something special.
Okay. Those are great practical tips.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. There are financial advisors and counselors out there who can give you personalized guidance and support.
Awesome. Investing in your financial literacy, that's one of the best things you can do for yourself.
It really is. It's about taking control of your money.
Right.
Not letting it control you.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the stimulus payment. And make sure everyone listening has all the information they need to claim what they're entitled to.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. What are the essential steps people need to take to make sure they get this payment?
All right, so first things first. Make sure your information with the Social Security Administration is up to date.
Right.
I know we've mentioned it a couple times, but it's super important. Make sure they have your correct address and the bank account where you want the money deposited.
Got it.
You can update this info online or by giving them a call.
Okay, easy enough. What's next?
Next, mark January 25th on your calendar.
Right.
That's the big day, the official payment date. But keep in mind, it might take a few days for your bank to process everything, so don't worry if you don't see it right away.
Right. Don't panic.
Exactly. Just be patient.
Patience is key, especially when it comes to money. Anything else?
Yeah. One more thing, it's always a good idea to familiarize yourself with how this payment might affect any other benefits or tax credits you're getting.
Okay.
We talked about some of those potential complexities earlier. So do your research or reach out to a professional if you need some guidance.
Good advice. Now, what if someone's eligible, but the payment just doesn't show up in their account? What should they do?
Don't panic. Take a deep breath. Wait a few days after the payment date, just to be sure. And if it's still not there, then you can contact the Social Security Administration. They have that dedicated line for stimulus payment questions.
Right.
They'll help you track it down and figure out what's going on.
Okay, awesome. That's good to know. It's always nice to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway here is that this stimulus payment is a valuable resource for those who need it most.
Absolutely.
It really shows how important those social safety nets are and the importance of targeted relief efforts. So for those who qualify, this is a chance to catch your breath a little, maybe pay down some debt, or make those essential purchases that can really improve your quality of life.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, everyone, if you found this information helpful, please share it with anyone else who might be eligible. Let's help each other out.
Absolutely. Spread the word and make sure everyone gets the support they need.
And of course, if you want to stay up to date on all things personal finance, future stimulus payments, government benefits, all that good stuff, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
We'll break it all down for you.
We're here to help you make those smart financial decisions.
That's right. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, stay tuned.
And don't forget to check your Purple accounts around January 25th.
That money could be waiting for you.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.